invite a lot of problems at workplace if people don't know you're not born again. Because you've not identified yourself as so.
He doesn't seem satisfied with your...
He's not satisfied.
with your zero tolerance to gifts.
It's also, again, a mindset that you have to ensure that you know I'm born again. It is you that knows you're born again. The others don't know unless you tell them, unless you live as a born again Christian.
Now, my first questions, which I want all of you to tackle, will be: how have you managed to navigate this society that is really on our necks to not just conform, but sort of transform ourselves and fit in as Christians? Let me start with, do we say the policy of men second or ladies first? Ladies first. Doris.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Praise the Lord. It's quite a tough one, especially for myself. Having sometimes to be in a male-dominated area where you're in a workplace and you're the only lady in the senior level, and you have to stand your ground. You have to ensure that what you say actually is heard, your voice is heard. So it's also, again, a mindset that you have to ensure that you know I'm born again. It is you that knows you're born again. The others don't know unless you tell them, unless you live as a born again Christian. So as for me, it's to tell them so that they know that Doris is actually born again, to live like a born again Christian so that they also see the same and try and emulate. Sometimes they mock you because of the same, but still just stating it. Say it again and again. By the way, I am born again. By the way, I am born again. I love Jesus. And they now know. They say, HR wetu unajua ameokoka. Hizi vitu msiongee where she is.
Thank you. I've got the word reinstating over and over. As Paul says, remind them, if they know, that beyond these borders, beyond this line, there's a born again Christian. Engineer, how have you coped with this decay?
Well, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and praise the Lord. Well, I know there's a lot of things happening in our society, and there's a lot of pressure to conform. For me, even beyond just workplace, I think my cornerstone has been identity. Once I settled the question of who I am, what am I doing here, what is my purpose here, then everything else will actually revolve around my identity. In that way, you are not pressurized to change yourself. I usually like to take this example when Christ Jesus, before he washed the disciples' feet, the Bible says that in John 13 verse 3, having known that he had come from the Father and he was going to the Father, he took off his garment and started washing the disciples' feet. So he took on an assignment, first having settled the question of who he was, so that that assignment could not change his personality. I think for me that is the ultimate thing. I settled my identity, who I am, what am I doing here, what is my purpose, and everything else will always fall in place. I don't have to worry about any other thing. Thank you.
So identity, which mirrors what Doris is talking about in terms of who are you? You know, you invite a lot of problems at workplace if people don't know you're not born again. Because you've not identified yourself as so. So the decay will hit you so hard. So engineer says that one of the things that we have to define clearly is, who are you? Are you born again? Because that's most of us as submarine Christians, we disappear on Monday, we emerge on Saturday evening towards Sunday. Then Monday again we submerge. With that kind of submerged Christians, you have no identity, and the decay, the pressure to conform, definitely you will not be able to sustain it. Zach, I'm sure you have a lot of answers in this area, and simply because procurement. You know, if audience here procurement, where I come from in my industry, I see big cars, procurement managers. That's how we are known. How have you sustained this? How have you managed to put away the decay?
Thank you, Nation, for having me here today. And you're exactly right. I mean, when someone hears of procurement managers, or anyone dealing in that office, whatever comes into their minds is that they are actually rich. And rich not because maybe they are people of means, but because of the underdealings. But again, maybe to answer your question, over and above what my colleagues are saying here, which I totally agree, is setting boundaries. Because the moment you set boundaries, and in this I mean in two ways. There is a boundary that you yourself you cannot cross, that you set it as an internal boundary, and there is also the external one that you can't allow people to cross that boundary. So over and above identity, what you stand for, especially faith, because one of the things and one of the mantras that I subscribe to is faith in Christ Jesus. Because the moment you say you're born again, you love the Lord, definitely there's some kind of boundaries that you create by default. And they know there is a character that you have, there are some decisions that you'll have to make that are in line with your faith. And setting those boundaries is what has really helped me. And I can tell you, this challenge, I faced it from the time I started working. From the time I was a young procurement officer, all the way up the ranks to where I am now, a supply chain advisor. Some of the things that I deal with almost on a daily basis is issues to do with ethics, morals, and more so ethical dilemmas that really touch on this profession. Thank you.
Ethical dilemmas, and I think ethical dilemmas is what drives my second question. And yeah, I want to put you guys on the spot because I want real examples. Personally, where I work in my field, ethical dilemmas on a day will involve leaving a bag of money. And it's not a cliche. This is truth, because the contract needs to go to so and so, and it needs to be twisted to so and so, and PM it needs to go this way. In your years of experience, I don't know, I have introduced you with your companies, but I know you have more than 1 year of experience, and I'm sure you've moved jobs. So the examples you'll give me is not tied to where you are, okay? Temptations at workplace is an everyday thing. I think in this century, it's almost an everyday occurrence that happens. Without going into much details, just give me one or two things that you have faced as a Christian that really touched on you standing on your ethical grounds, honesty, and tempted your Christian faith. This time I want to start from procurement. I know there are a lot of examples that side.
Fair enough. And I want to say that procurement is one of the areas whereby actually you're not only faced with temptations, you're also faced with tests and trials. So you get a barrage of all kinds of affronts and assaults from everywhere. Be it a test, be it a temptation, be it a trial. Now, the biblical understanding of the three is very clear in terms of where does it come from, whose is it targeted to, and what's the end result of it. Now, in terms of, if I go directly into the temptations, and temptations comes as a result of your mind, your thoughts, and everything that, goes around your mind, because you invite it to yourself, as opposed to tests and trials. And I'll explain that in a bit. That if I was to contextualize into the procurement field, and I said when it started when I was a young professional, where you meet men and women who are much older than you, they're in business, they are making it in this city, and I've worked not only in this context alone, but even outside Kenya, whereby they sit you down, they tell you, you're a young man, we need to develop you. As we develop, there is this for you if you give us this opportunity. And the worst that you can do at that moment, honestly, without becoming melodramatic about it, is if you remember your problems, where you come from, where you want to get to, chances are that you're going to get into that temptation. Now, how to overcome that is how you entertain the conversation. Do you smartly get out of it, or do you just dismiss it, or do you just give a false promise to it just to get out of it? But now, coming back to you being born again like I am, and I said that faith is what drives me, you remember again what this can have in terms of your spiritual life. What does it mean in terms of how does God see me in this? Does this really make me go in line with what I subscribe to as a Christian? And I can tell you for sure it's not easy. It's not really easy, I'll be honest with you. But what drives me and what kept me going during those days is the know of that actually I have to really stand for what my Christian faith says. That I cannot engage in underdealings. I cannot also engage in corrupt way of issuing or giving contracts, or even giving and leaking out information that would be the advantage of the person who's promising me good things. Now, the now and how I get this that is being given to me is what now becomes what I was again saying, the ethical dilemma that you can get into. But just directly to answer you, I mean, what really made me stand during those days is what I remembered is written in the scriptures, that unjust gains, the Lord hates unjust gains, the Lord hates unjust scales. So in this case, my scales, I'm not in business where I'm using the scales, but my scales are what the tools of work that I have. And these are the opportunities also, including information that would be of the advantage to the other person to get a contract, not in a very good way.
Zach, I know you are. I have a bit of history of what you do. There is pressure. I am sure there is pressure. Like, I mean, this should go here, twist a bit, Nation wants this to go to his village. I mean, how do you navigate it on a daily basis to ensure that your Christian life is still intact?
Well,
you still have a job, because sometimes you can stand in the way and there is no job. How do you navigate it?
Well, thank you so much. I want to say it's not very easy. Like currently, I manage tenders for almost 450 projects, and all those tenders must be approved through my hands. Now, let me take you back how I got this job. One of, when they were doing the interview, they have to call your bosses. So one of my bosses was called, and he said, if you want somebody who will not steal from you, that is a person. This week alone, a contractor that I handled, we were doing one of his projects. It was worth around 650 million. And the reason he called me, he has been calling me, he even called me today, for one reason. He told me, I want to offer you a deal. In fact, we are meeting with him tomorrow, not that I'm going to accept it. But the reason why he really insisted that he wanted me is because there's a time that he had raised an interim payment certificate, and the value of works was about 40 million. What was raised was about 70 million. So we met somewhere, and he told me, I'm putting 4 million in your account. these things, and of course, the way we do things, it's very untraceable. You can do that. So I told him, this is very difficult for me. I may not be able to do it, because once I do it, I will not be the same person that is talking to you. And of course, pressures coming from different places. One of somebody was as well called me and said, why can't you help that person? Somebody my senior. Then of course I told him, this is your boss. You have to be realistic with him. It may be your job on the line. So I told him, sir, if I steal for you, what will prevent me from stealing from you? And that question really took him back, and he realized what would make him not steal from me. I told him, I'm capable of stealing from you a lot of money, by the way, because one thing is for certain, there is no honor among thieves. And so what I did is I took a leaf, and somebody came in and signed those things. And I kept my integrity, and my integrity kept me. And that's why I can pitch for any job from where I'm standing. Thank you.
He took a leave. It reminds me, I have a friend of mine who's he's not born again, but I don't know whether there can be ethics without salvation. That's topic for another day. So he gets his job in the port, Mombasa port, very senior job. And it's one of those that is really ethical. But it's not the Christian ethics. It's just, this is my policy. And he goes to the port and brings that his ethics to the port. And first time they came, this is what is on the table. Guys, me, I don't do these things. Next time, higher. That time, they told him, listen, all the way from MD down, everyone is in it. You're the one remaining. He took a leave as well. He took a leave and said, let someone else sign. So I don't know whether that's that, because it's a dilemma. Your boss is in it. Your signature needs to be on it. You're a Christian. Is that the time to take a bed rest? Probably yes.
Probably. I would agree with you. It may be the time.
Doris, I can imagine, HR, how many applications on a daily basis. Probably there are some coming your way from this team. After this, I won't be surprised. The pressure to hire wrongly, I wanted to say my sister, but my sister is here. Let me say my sister. My cousin has sent her CV, yeah? And so, Doris, my cousin has sent the CV. Please, we are in charge. So, how do you survive to ensure the person that deserves? Because that's what the Lord wants. That's what Christianity is. It doesn't matter who that person is. The person that deserves to be hired as a HR manager for Bomb Hotels, that person is hired. How do you navigate this pressure from people like ourselves, family, and probably your bosses?
Wow. I have one, the most recent one, and that was from a very senior, very, very senior. And they sent someone. Of course, they know the CV will not come to me directly, so they sent it through someone else. We tell them we receive all the CVs through our careers email, so it was sent to careers email. I didn't have a look at it because, after all, it wasn't, the way I look at your CV and it's like, not good enough.
Equal to.
And unfortunately, that's what happens to some of our CVs. We just look at them and we don't go through them because they don't look good enough. Anyway, the CV is brought to me again through my assistant now. She says that I've been given this CV to give to you. So I said, okay, who gave you? He said, the GM. I said, okay, fine, no problem. I'll have a look at it. Asked in the morning meeting the following day, did you call this lady A? I say, for what? They said, for an interview. I'm like, she didn't qualify for shortlisting. They said, no, you have to call. She was referred by the big man, the big lady. So I said, oh, okay, fine, no problem. Just calling is your problem? I will call them. So we called them for an interview. The panelists did not know them. So we had the interview. I asked the panelists, are you okay with her? They said no. So we released her, she went. The panelist is not aware of this person. So I went away for leave at home. I'm in Ushago.
Another leave.
Yes. I'm in Shags, I'm called by a new number. Hello, is this Doris? Yes. I am so and so. I'm calling to find out about this lady A who did an interview. How was it? By the way, I'm like, I think I know this name and it's a big shot. I'm like, yes, I remember we did an interview. However, I can't tell you how it was as at now. I was just buying time because I'm like, what should I tell her? I told her, give me time next week. I'll be at work. I'll let you know. Next week, I came to work. I forgot to call because I was busy. Then she calls me. She says, did you call her? What was the outcome? I told her, you know what? She did the interview. She did not pass. So if you want her to be taken, then she has to come and do a food trial because we do cooking. If she passes, we will consider. If she doesn't, then too bad. You know, again, it's a big shot. My GM is called. Why are you not recruiting? Why are you not picking on her? And now pressure begins to pile. When everyone is calling, the big shots are calling. And now you just have to make one tough decision and say, you know what, Mr. GM, if you want her, this is my recommendation from a HR perspective. She does not meet our minimum requirements. So pick her, it's fine. If you don't want to pick her, it's fine. She was picked, by the way. She was picked.
Picked by the big boss.
Yes. But from my end, the only thing you can do as now HR and as a born-again person is to give your recommendations and say, this is my position. Yes.
Yeah, you put it on record. I do it all the time with my clients. However senior, big, this is what I think, but you are the client, you decide. Anything happens, you cover yourself.
Yes.
Excellent. I want to open this discussion to you people. I know you are working, and I really want to hear your perspectives. How have you handled these ethical issues, temptations at workplaces? I know I don't have a banker here, but I really wanted a banker's perspective. They're money people, the people who count money on a daily basis. Okay? How are we dealing with these things in the workplaces? And I really want to invite... we have a banker at the back there. Mr. Yongo.
Thank you. I think from what the panelists have said, you must stand your ground. That is one. And always remember, for us, whatever you do, when the auditors come knocking, you are on your own. That your signature will not just take you home, but it will also take you even to, maybe even to jail. So you must stand your ground. The pressure will always be there. Some of it may be coming from the MD. One thing that I learned in my previous life, I had a manager who used to tell us, she was a credit manager, she would decline loans from the MD. And the pressure would be there, but then she would just, the way panelist Doris has said, she would give her recommendation and say, take it to the next level. If the director wants to sign it, it's okay. When the auditors come, they'll come for him. I'll not be there. So, in all the decisions, you must be guided by your Christian principles. Yes, the kickbacks will be there. They'll be tempting. But stand your ground. So, always, that is the guiding principle. Thank you.
Always stand your ground. I think that's what we are getting. There's also the option of leave. Don't forget that. Eh? Yes, that you can as well go on leave and say, gentlemen, let me go 1 week leave. Someone else will sign it within that week. So you're going to pressure. But I think the idea of standing your ground and doing it on record and saying, this is my position. But you have a boss. So you have to be wise. There's a boss. If the boss wants to do it, he's the boss, he can sign off on it. Wakili, Byron, lawyers. And I'm saying lawyers and I'm seeing people are smiling. I'm sure there is a lot of unethical. We are hearing a lot about judiciary and what happens in cases. What happens in the point when there is pressure for, this person is guilty, but there's also auction for whoever sits on the other side decides. it comes to you. I mean, I'm sure you're facing these things on a daily basis where someone is being represented, he is accused, he's done ABCD, but he's moneyed, can buy the other side. How do you advise your clients in these positions?
Number one, ethical questions will always be there. For lawyers especially, one of the things that you have to remember as a practicing lawyer is that these things will always come back. And when they come back, with their children and children's children, if there's such a thing. From a legal perspective, we usually say that there is there is black and white and gray. So most people will want to hide again, in the midst of the gray. But as a practicing Christian, you need to remember first I'm a Christian. Before I became a lawyer, the first thing that will identify me is my faith, is me as a Christian. You remember the journey that you're walking, that at the end of the day, you won't be remembered for the legal thing, but what you did for that person when they were in need. Because when you occasion an injustice, it's not just for the benefit at that point, but there's somebody somewhere who's crying because of what you have done. It's interesting that you put the question for legal, for defending a guilty person. Well, what we usually say is that you don't know whether he's guilty or not. But it's more interesting whereby you are being instructed to take away property from somebody to another person. Now that is even more black and white. So the best thing for you, because for us we can't take leave, unfortunately, because the matter will still be there for you when you come back. If you decide to take leave, the matter will be adjourned. The next time you come, you have to deal with it. So you have to take the bull by the horns. This is right, this is wrong. And if you stand your ground from the very beginning, clients know. Actually, by the time a client approaches you to do something, they know that you have the capacity to do it. Or they know how to avoid that question to you because they know you do not have that capacity. And by capacity, I mean, you've carried yourself in a manner that they know that we can actually, we can talk to him or we cannot talk to him. So depending on how you've carried yourself from the very beginning, depending on how your stand has been, and it's something as simple as a file is missing, we need to trace it, all right? How do you deal with that, all right? It's unfortunate, but it happens so and so. So if a client has trusted you to get a file or to make a file disappear, they know they can get you to do something else. But if at one point they approached you to make a file disappear and you told them no, then you've built your reputation. At that point, for sure, when they have a bigger problem to be dealt with, they'll not be thinking of you. While at it, you have lost your fees, you've lost, as Zach put it, you've lost, when you think about your problems, you've decided to stay with your problems, but at least your integrity is intact.
Wonderful. I mean, from what I'm getting, it's about making stands. There's a saying in English: if you give someone an inch, they want a mile. So the first time the request come, if you give an inch, trust me, it's a bigger. The grandchildren are coming, and next time it will be a mile. So the stand is important. The stand is important. I work in a field where you can build without approvals, and it's just chaotic like that. But for me, one thing I tell my clients, we will wait for all the approvals to come before we ground break. It doesn't matter how long. And clients that come to you will begin to know you with that kind of reputation that there is no shortcut. But if you first ever do it on a project, trust me, continually the files will disappear. I don't know if there's anyone else who has a question, a contribution on let me go to Simon, then I come to Actet, and I go to Magun. The mic can come this side.
Thank you. I wanted to give a bit of to broaden the conversation. That is because I always, on a daily basis, deal with ethics. My background is in fraud risk management. I started as an internal auditor, then now in active fraud risk management, which entails dealing with ethical issues, fraud, corruption, and other ethics or integrity issues. So usually, what drives someone to commit an ethical practice is always three elements that are involved. The first one is the pressure, which is constant and it's always there. So there's the pressure to make an extra coin. We are all under these harsh economic times. You call it Kasongo economy. So we all have that pressure to make an extra coin. We all have that pressure to live a good life. That is always there. And that is where temptation lies. The second pillar is opportunity. So the reason why we are talking to the guys in procurement and we're telling them, you know, you guys have a not so good name is because of the opportunity that comes with that position. So if you combine the pressure you have and the opportunity, sometimes you look at opportunity as the likelihood of committing that act and not being caught. So you look at it, what is the chances? Somebody is saying, I can wire this money into your account, or I can wire into your child's account, your neighbor's account, concealing. So if there is a reasonable belief that the likelihood of being caught is minimal, then it increases the urge to commit it. The third one is rationalization. So rationalization is a form of justification, where someone is saying, after all, everyone does. After all, those who commit it, they are successful. After all, this money do not belong to anyone. After all, this organization is making even billions of money, and I'm paid peanuts. So that rationalization is where your ethics stand. That is where your test stands. And like a fire, the absence of one pillar, if you eliminate rationalization, then you will not fall into that temptation. You only fall if your rationalization, your integrity lacks. And usually it is said, everyone has an integrity price.
Everyone has a price.
Everyone has a price. The difference is the levels. So if your price is too low, it means you can compromise your integrity at the least. It could be even a small contract, it would be a compromising a higher and so on. Someone else, the integrity is too high that you cannot even achieve that integrity price. So that justification or the call to duty for a Christian is to raise your integrity price to an extent that no one can meet that price. But the moment you make your integrity price affordable, then you will be compromised. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's give him a round of applause.
Chair, before, sorry to cut in,
Yes.
and maybe my quick reflection on that, because again, it all boils down to self-control. Because where is the threshold? I mean, if my integrity can be compromised by 10,000 shillings, or it can be compromised by someone giving me 2 billion shillings. I mean, where's the threshold? And this is where self-control comes in, because the Bible says, the grace of God has appeared to all men that teaches us to say no to all ungodliness. And it goes on to say that we need to live self-controlled lives in this present age. Why this present age? Because such opportunities come and such avenues come where you can be, you can be in a situation where you're being tempted or tested to really compromise on your integrity. So self-control is very key. And this is one of the things that has really helped me. And not only on monetary issues, I mean, even including, my relationship with my colleagues in the workplace, Currently, we live in a world that is so lascivious too much, to an extent, people even forget their marriage vows, for example, in an office place. So self-control is very key. And sometimes, where do you say that, no matter how much is offered to me, or no matter what comes to my way, I'll still not, compromise on my integrity.
Wonderful. Rationalization, which is important as well, because sometimes we say, no, I think Mungu amenionekania leo. Ameona nilikuwa na hii shida. This is an answered prayer.
Yes.
But Chair,
This is an answered prayer.
where do you draw the line? You see, like lawyers, they will practice the legality side of the law, but will downscale the moral side of the law. Maybe let me give this example. Someone was told that do not pluck the apple from the tree. So what he did, he took a ladder, climbed the tree, and ate. Then he was asked, why did you eat? He said, I was told not to pluck. I was not told not to eat. So where do we draw the line of rationalization? That's a very important thing, because most Christians, having found a justification for their sin or their compromise, they end up doing it. And after some time, they realize that they're in a web of things that it is even impossible for them to come out. That would be a very important thing for Christians to really realize. It will help them.
Rationalization. Let me pick a question from architect, and then I go to, or we can give it Mr. Mgun, then come to architect here.
Okay. All right. Just going back to what was being talked about. This is from a personal experience. And first, let me start by saying good organizations run on systems or are systems and processes dependent. Bad organizations are people dependent. Not that people are not important, they are. Let me give an example. So a while back when I was in the corporate world, I was responsible partly for hiring some people into my team. And they had excelled in other companies, so they were known. But I was being told, this is obvious, it's easy, just let's hire them. But they come with experiences that you don't need. They're not too much of experiences you don't want in the organization, what we are talking about. And at the beginning of when I got employed there, I had the latitude to actually reorganize that department, including putting the processes that we thought were going to take us where we are going. One of which was everybody working in that department had to take an aptitude test. And what then happened was these very experienced people came and they took that aptitude test. And they failed spectacularly. And these are people who the CEO had brought, different people had brought, they're trying to help you in a job they've given you. Why have a dog and bark at the same time? So I'm there working, but they're also trying to. So I took the results to them and I told them, here, everybody else who is working here has gone through this. So one of the things that is crucial for people to avoid pressure is to ensure that the systems work. And then the other thing is, you can have systems, but we also say, if you don't inspect, do not expect. If you don't inspect, do not. So, in my consulting job, this is another example that just fits in. I have this client, they had an issue, they had a problem, they had set up, and it's always a problem that happens at that point. The moment things start going wrong in a company, it means you're growing, because now the people who've set it up are getting impatient. They want to now sort of reward themselves with a day off and all that. They've hired other people. But when it was them, they had the integrity. But everything and the systems they had were organic. They are carried in their head. They are not anywhere on paper and things like that. So I came and I said, let's put your systems and processes in place. We documented them. So we did processes mapping, sorted everything out. Everything worked. Put the job descriptions arising from that. You know the processes that normally happen after that. Everything was perfect. Then here is what happens. I say to them, if you don't inspect, do not
Expect.
So they said, we have a budget for an auditor who will be our internal auditor and also systems auditor and all that. And they'd even agreed on how this person will be working in the departments, just making sure things are working. And you know, like those who've worked in banks, if you fail to audit, kazi inaisha. So these guys were also going to do similar thing for a different organization. They were in different industry. Then, sensing the heat, the person in charge of finance resigns because he knows now here I'll be caught up with. They had been playing with manipulating figures. So they went. And these guys decide, wacha huyu auditor atushikilie for the time being where? In finance. 2 years down the road, they'd never filled the position of. So the person had been interviewed and passed an interview for audit. But they've come in and they have been bandiquat there to become the what? Finance. So you've got systems, you've got processes, nobody's inspecting. The one who's meant to be doing it is doing something different. And then that person came and connived with other people to start diverting clients from this company to a company they have set on the side. Because they did not. So you can have systems. But if you don't inspect, there is no point of having them. But remember again, the best companies, the best organizations are what? System dependent, not people dependent. You can replace, it's just like McDonald's. You go in, they show you what to do. Somebody moves away, they bring the next person, they take them through the orientation, and that person begins to perform at the same level as that other person who's left. Because they're not dependent on the person, they're dependent on. So for you to reduce your pressure, systems. And then just make sure the people who are supposed to inspect your systems are also active. You know, God is a God of order. God loves law. Systems and processes are part of law, isn't it? So, and we are created in His image. So don't go and leave. Just make sure the systems are, and just make sure that somebody is doing what?
Their job.
Inspecting.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Systems. I think that's how one of the ways we can beat it as Christians. We just say, this is a system we agreed. Whatever you want is not meeting the system criteria. So it's a no. And they said, there's a English saying as well that order is heaven's first law. So systems are good. Architect. Buildings are collapsing actually because of unethical architectural issues. A slab is not supposed to be cast. Architect amesema koroga. Okay, kwa sababu I don't know whether you've had these issues.
First of all, he's not referring to any of my projects. My question, though, touches on ethical issues and ethical dilemma. Being gifted is not bad. We all like gifts. And I don't think being gifted is, this is now where ethical dilemma comes in. And it's a question that touches on my construction industry, and I'd like it to be addressed probably by Nation and engineer, but it touches on procurement also. You have a contractor who wants to gift you. You've gone to site, and unfortunately, he has seen you receive a call, and that call, you remove a phone ya Techno. Si kwa ubaya ati Techno ni mbaya, lakini umetoa simu ya Techno. So the next time you come to site, the contractor says, "Bwana architect, I have a gift for you," and he gives you an S24, new one, brand new,
And it's not really connected to anything. He's not requesting for anything. But this is a gift he's giving you. How do you treat gifts from contractors as consultants? Because that question is not just coming from me, but it is a question that is also asked during our registration by the board. How do you treat gifts from contractors? And I think it will touch definitely on your ethics, because gifting is not bad. Even for them, they'll tell you gifting is not bad. But how do you treat it from a contractor? So from your perspective, kindly assist.
Yeah, I think because I'm the moderator, I'm not answering questions. Yeah, but tied to that is the festive season of Christmas. Okay, well that's where sometimes it begins for us in the construction sector. Oh, you're going to be gifted. You're going to be gifted a lot of good packaged Christmas gifts. But I am not answering that question. I think let me turn to Zach. Gifts, but before I answer, there's the Japanese say there's nothing so expensive than that which is given for free. But Zach.
Well, thank you so much. I think partly I would like to refer to what my brother was saying, that if you have a good system in place, though I know the problem we have in this country is that most systems do not work. We have very good systems, but if we are able to structure them in a way that they work, it will be the best. When I joined Safaricom, they had a very good policy regarding gifting. They tell you that do not accept a gift. But in the case that you see that it is impolite to receive that gift, you can receive it, but you have to declare it, then donate it to the foundation. You see? Donate
the phone, S24 to foundation.
To the foundation. You see, the one thing you have to ask yourself, in as much as the gift may be harmless, but I can tell you for free, inadvertently, once you've received a gift from someone, there is a way in which your judgment concerning that person may change. It will change inadvertently. So I think the best thing you can do, if you see that it is impolite to decline the gift, you can receive it if you're working in the context of an organization, and declare it. Are we together? But if it is personal, like architect as a firm, and he has been given a gift over Christmas holiday, so you can donate it. Or it.
I think whatever he is saying, but no, the problem is architect is the director, is
the owner of the company.
He's the owner of the company. So there's no one else. If he's donating to himself. Yeah. Where's the mic?
Let me add something as we get the mic to the person speaking. I'll not talk from a contractor's perspective. Let me talk from a team member's perspective. Some of us are not yet there where we have our own businesses. You are just someone very junior in the organization, right? I'll use the hospitality. We give tips, right? You go to hotels, you give tips, you leave it in the book, in the folder. Do you? Or you don't?
We do.
Is that a gift? Do they always return it back to you, or do they take it? Do you think they go and tell the management, I received this, or they pocket it? Do you think we don't see it through CCTV, or we see? But do we follow to ask them how much you received? No, we don't. Now, another case. This guest comes, they have this big suitcase, and they're leaving. They are going to Masai Mara or going back home, and they're saying, we can't go with these things. We are leaving them to this housekeeper. They really did a fantastic job, and we're leaving it to them. We need this gift to be declared. Declaration is important, so that it kills that gap. That's why we say, he said about systems and policies. That is why for us we have the declaration policy, declare. Just say, Nation has given me this phone, and that's all. We won't take it from you, it's yours. Yeah.
Sam.
Thank you. I think that's a very important question that calls on us as Christians to tackle it. I liked what he mentioned on processes, but the fact is that in this country, processes are not working, and that's why I think we are here. Even the organization where I work in, I can tell you I deal with compliance, and processes are not working. You find the issue of gifts, the way Zach is my colleague in Safaricom, we say we declare. But even at top level, people receive and they don't declare. So I can tell you that that is a very critical thing. But going to the exact point, you're an architect, you're supposed to supervise this contractor. That relationship, because the pure reason why gifts are a problem is that relationship creating a conflict of interest. By that S24 iPhone you receive, already there's a conflict. You look at this person in a different way. You appreciate them. And you will overlook so many things in that project. Let's be very honest about this thing. The simple thing for me, I would advise in such a case, stand firm, even if the organization, like us, we say, accept, Safaricom says, accept low value merchandise. Where I work in M-Pesa Africa, we say totally zero gift policy. So I would encourage all of us to accept zero gift policy. It's very, because the salary you get is enough, or the fee you receive from your project is enough. That thing is very tempting. Go and compromise. It will be presented in court as an evidence of some compromise you undertook. And once your reputation is destroyed as a professional, you are done. So for me, I would encourage that no gift policy.
Wonderful.
Why are we not clapping on that point?
Or you can, before I come to the two gentlemen, architects, sometimes we encourage that the contractor gives the gifts at the end of the project. Because one of the levers of influence is reciprocation. When someone does something to you, naturally, you always feel indebted, that you owe them. So it's one of the key levers, and gifting is one of the levers of reciprocation. So if I gift you something, you sort of think like, I owe you something. So you'll want always, when I come with request. So sometimes what I say the construction is, hold it until the project ends. At the handover, give me the phone, because there's nothing else tying me to you. I will take it. But it's a challenge during the project. It's a big challenge, because then valuation comes, it's higher than what it is. Active certificate is required. You just received a phone last week. You know, he's looking at you like, but I gave you a phone. You know, because it's always come up. You know, gifting is not bad. I'll take two questions, and then I'll come back to the panel, and then we begin to bring this ship to the shore. Yes, yeah. Where's the mic? Thank you. Just make it brief.
Mine is not really a question.
Yes.
You really read my mind. You can have the gifts at the end of the contract. You won't be compromised. On systems and processes, I'm in government. And I can tell you, organizations stand or fall on leadership. Leadership is quite key. And just as he has mentioned, we have a crisis of leadership in the country. And I feel as Christians, one of the things that we really take for granted is our responsibility in these organizations in terms of prayer. We have the opportunity to pray for good leaders. If you have a good CEO, I was reading Proverbs 29:2, and it says that when the righteous rule or are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. So I feel we have been quite naive as Christians in standing in the gap in organizations in praying for good leadership. I'm in a constitutional commission. 6 years term for commissioners, they go, another team comes in. Even when you look at the interviews and that have been going on now, you can even read online the murky stories that are up with the interviews and everything. So we have a responsibility to pray for leaders. If we get good leaders in our organizations, the Christians will thrive in those organizations. Thank you.
Pray for a good boss, a Christian boss that will give you zero ethical issues. Powerful point. Simon.
I wanted to help the architect because...
Okay, help him further.
He doesn't seem satisfied with your...
He's not satisfied.
with your zero tolerance to gifts. So I wanted to say the whole idea around gift declaration and giving the gift to a foundation is trying to address the moral obligation that is created by you receiving the gift. So that moral obligation that is created in you is very natural. So the cure to this is, how do you deal with the moral obligation? Yes, you've received the gift, but how do you make yourself, separate yourself from this gift, that you will continue dealing with these clients without the influence of the gift that the client gave you? Just today, before I came to this session, I was dealing with an issue of conflict of interest. And conflict of interest is unethical, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that we can exist without conflict of interest. So the whole issue around it is, how do you treat it? So it's the same thing as gift. If you can develop a way of eliminating the moral obligation. For example, you as a contractor, you've given me a gift. You gave me a gift on the 25th of December. I received that gift. But then I put it somewhere. I know this gift I'm going to donate to someone else. But you as a contractor, I will invite you when I'm going to donate that gift. Then I also provide another donation. Then as the time, as we are going to gift that to someone else or to a foundation, I'm telling you, the gift you gave me, I am adding this, let us go and donate. We have zeroized that game. He knows that next time I accept gifts, but there are other people who deserve more than myself. So I'm asking you, if you are to donate to me, you're actually donating to a foundation, or you're donating to someone else. So you're transferring that, and at the end of the day, that person, you owe nothing to that person, and you've transferred that moral obligation. Now, the next thing also is, or the other way you can do is, you've gifted me today. Tomorrow, I also gift you. So I also throw back the ball to you. So I eliminate that moral obligation completely. So when we are looking at each other, we are looking at each other, people who have gifted each other, and we are at a level playing ground.
But please don't gift him more valuation money, because that could be the gift. Now, I want us to start wrapping this up. And we have had a very wonderful conversation as Christians. And I'm back to my panel here. Whatever we are discussing, you realize that it's likely going to lead to isolation in the office. It's a chance, because you're going to be looked at, the holier than thou seated at that office doesn't accept gifts, doesn't do what, doesn't, because then, and yet you still have colleagues at work, there's still team building, there's still a lot of things that you need to make. How are we going to survive as Christians? Are we running ourselves out of jobs by being strict? Because there's that chance, because you're going to be labeled. How do we keep this intact, this integrity life that we have, do things the right way, but still, as Paul says, we are still here on earth. We still have colleagues at workplace, but still be able to interact at workplace with your colleagues. Let me start with Zach. How do you balance it?
Well, one of the most explicit examples that I find helpful in this context is in Genesis chapter 1. The Bible says the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the deep, the darkness that was there. And from there I drew a policy that you can have contact without contamination, presence without pollution. And we are actually there so that they may be able to see how we conduct our lifestyle, so that that conduct may be able to inspire them to be different. In this context, I'm not saying that you fix yourself in a compromising situation. As we all know that you cannot minister to your temptation or addiction, but you can be present in their situation. For example, we were doing an anniversary for one of the events, And while there was a cake. There were some people at the corner with drinks and everything. But I managed to come. And as I was sitting in one of the table having a discussion, and they were asking me, "You don't drink?" I said, I don't drink. And at the end of the discussion, 3 people told me they want to be like me. So you can have contact without contamination. I think that's my view. That's how I do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Contact without contaminations. Zach?
Yeah, thank you. Now, this brings me back to where I began from when I mentioned that you need to also to draw boundaries. It is true that we live in a society whereby, I mean, you'll meet all sorts of lifestyles in terms of, you know, the corporate setting, the workplace setting, the business setting. And the decisions that you make at that point, and you make it, you know, deliberate known to the people that these are your boundaries and these are the areas that you don't cross. Now, I've managed to be in situations whereby discussions are way off. I mean, in terms of morals. People get into coarse jokes, people get into sexual jokes, people get into very ungodly talks. And from the moment, you know, they know your presence is there, you standing for on the side of the Lord, they are quick to change the topic. And sometimes, you know, you have to really be, you know, deliberate about it. Now, separation is one thing, but I remember in the sayings of the Lord Jesus to his disciples, that you may need to live as wise as doves and also as shrewd as the serpents. Meaning, discernment is key, that in this area I cannot engage, in this topic I cannot engage, and in this discussion I cannot engage. The other bit is about being in salvation. There is a grace that comes with salvation, honestly. And the truth is, if you're not rooted in the Lord Jesus, you might actually not be able to fight and to overcome. The reason is because there is something that happens in the spiritual realm, that whenever you're born again, the Lord kind of builds an impregnable wall around you, that for some reason, when you get into a discussion somewhere, people are discussing, you don't know the topic of discussion, but they all of a sudden keep quiet. Or maybe they change the topic. Without, you know, separating yourself too much, because you can't live without, you know, interacting with people. But honestly, what you need to do is to know when you need to draw your boundaries and make it so deliberate that they know in these areas you cannot cross, they cannot involve you, even some of the projects that go around in the office. And sometimes, you know, that separation and segregation, you know, is what makes people really not able to discern exactly when to separate and when not to separate. And again, striking that balance, that they don't, you know, label you like you're seeing them to be too much of an evil or advocates of the enemy, but also striking a balance where if you yourself introduce the agenda of the Lord in their discussions, they are quick also to take you with a lot of authenticity.
Wonderful. Separation. And on that, there's a difference between separation and isolation. Because sometimes we isolate. Okay? There's a difference. Most of the times, if you isolate, there are going to be problems. But if separation will be very powerful. Doris?
I believe one thing, we do not live in a vacuum. As Christians as well, we don't live in a vacuum. You are not living in a bubble. We're living in this real world right now. And these challenges that we face them every other day. The Bible tells us, flee sexual immorality, for example. And what do? We condone. We are like, you know, the way he's like, you know, Doris, I love your eyes. You look pretty. I love your dress. Why can't you do? Yeah, they're like, thank you. Thank you. That's what we keep saying, right? Instead of just telling this guy, you know what? You don't entertain it. But what we always do is we just smile away. As Christians, we politely smile away and say thank you because you've been given sexual comments. Remember, as for me, my team members know that we tell them, even if you smile at me, I can sue you for sexual harassment. So please, don't just come and give me those funny, funny smiles. I could actually say you are harassing me sexually. Because it is true. Sexual harassment comes even right from the smile, not just the touch and all that. So in as much as now I have the law that protects me and helps me, we have to be careful as well. In as much as you're not in a vacuum, know your boundaries, know when to say no, know what to entertain. I work in an industry where we have interns. We say in the hospitality industry, interns come and they go. They come and they go. So it's a cheap steak. So for men, you have Lady A today. When the other one comes, Lady B. Some of them you're married, but you still want other people because of how they are dressed, because of very many things. So let us learn to flee sexual sin at the workplace. Just flee, because you will not be able to conquer that one, most likely. I know there are Christians who say, but you know, I've not been tempted until to the point of shedding blood. You know, this sexual sin is not, there is no blood involved. Blood will be involved because the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, the sin that comes just by seeing. Because you see, then you start thinking about it, then the sin is born in you. Then what is the wage of sin? Death, right? Do you want to die? No, not in sin, right? And then, as HR, I plan staff parties. And I want all my team members to come. I don't want anyone to miss, whether you are born again or not. They all come, by the way. Na hakuna sherehe bila? Bila? Pombe. Thank you. Hakuna sherehe bila pombe. That's what they will tell me. And by the way, in those parties, there is pombe. It's not that it's not there. And it's not that I don't attend, because I am the host of the party. Correct? But I don't drink. And they also know that Doris does not drink. But they will drink. But those ones who will come and say, hey, by the way, kwanzia hiyo party next, sitakunywa. So the party is there, they will come. There are those who will get drunk, there are those who will not get drunk. There are those of you whom you come to the parties and we are looking. Doris ndio yule amepita kwa wine area, amepita kwa beers, amepita wapi. So again, remember they are watching. They are just watching how you are going. Is it a coke that you actually asked, or was it something that was in that bottle with coke? Was it a Ribena glass, or was it something else? So as Christians, we have to ensure you just know your boundaries. And remember, again, it is not a vacuum. You are living in a real world with real problems. So if it is sexual sin, flee. If it is someone smiling at you, my friend, don't say thank you. If it is, ukiona hii smile siyo ya kawaida, toroka, sindio? Thank you.
Powerful. You know, let me finish this. It goes to the root of drawing boundaries. I was chairman of a association for about 6 years, and there were always India parties. And as a chairman, you have to be there, whether you like it or not. There's no party without you. You'll have to start the India party, and a lot of these choreographers. But for all those 6 years, they knew by 9 a.m. I'm going. When the bar is open, they know very well, as chairman, I'm out. But you have to go. If you don't go, you're going to be impeached tomorrow. It's no chairmanship for you. But you have to draw certain lines that, guys, for me, when we official function and the bar is opened, see you guys tomorrow. Those policies will be important. But you can also not say, I'm not going. You lose your job. You lose your job, you lose your positions. If you are in elected positions like I was, you will be impeached tomorrow. So you have to be wise, but draw clear boundaries as a Christian when these things happen. Like Doris says, she's the HR manager. She can't organize the India party and the HR manager is not there. She's fired the next day. Be wise, draw those lines, and then don't isolate, separate. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause for this wonderful panel. It's been a very lively discussion, so I'm sure you have liked it so much as they take their seats.